Welcome back to Unsolved Void. Tonight, we are leaving the traceable, albeit confusing, trails of California and venturing deep into the truly inexplicable. Our investigation focuses on two remote geographic anchors on the map, separated by thousands of miles, yet chillingly linked by the most extreme claims of vanishing acts, alien technology, and dimensional strangeness. We are talking about the vast and treacherous Alaska Triangle and the mystifying, magnetic presence of Mount Shasta. Consider the numbers that defy logic. Alaska, a land of brutal beauty, where official state statistics shockingly admit over 16,000 people have vanished since the 1970s. Then we have Mount Shasta, a place where mystics and seekers routinely claim to find secret cities, commune with ascended masters, and pass through physical portals to other dimensions. The core question for Unsolved Void isn't if strange things happen here. The evidence is overwhelming. The true question is, why are these two distant locations such massive anchors for high strangeness? What unseen mechanism connects the icy blackness of the Arctic to the sun-drenched granite of Northern California? We hypothesize the existence of a global Earth energy grid nexus, an ancient, powerful energy conduit that attracts extraterrestrial intelligence, hosts hidden technology, and creates terrifying zones of extreme temporal and physical instability. If the official narrative about the gnome serial killer was a necessary myth, what unseen force is truly responsible for those thousands of cold cases? And who, or what, maintains the infrastructure deep inside Mount Shasta? We believe the answers are linked through this ancient network. Let's begin our journey in the most dangerous place on Earth to get permanently lost, the Alaska Triangle. The statistics of the Alaska Triangle are simply staggering. This vast, remote area broadly covers the region between Anchorage, Juneau, and Utqiagvik. Since 1970, the official count of people vanished here is over 16,000. That translates to a disappearance rate more than twice the national average. For decades, authorities have defaulted to the easy answer, the unforgiving wilderness itself. But this easy answer fails to account for thousands of experienced bush pilots, seasoned hunters, and longtime residents who have vanished without a trace, often in clear, stable weather. No wreckage, no distress signal, no body. The missing simply cease to exist. Consider the case that fundamentally put the triangle on the map: the disappearance of two powerful U.S. congressmen, Hale Boggs and Nick Begich. On October 16, 1972, their small plane, carrying an aide and the pilot, vanished. The search that followed was massive and unprecedented, lasting 39 days and scouring over 32,000 square miles of territory. They used every technology available: sonar, advanced aerial scans, and hundreds of ground troops. Yet, not a single piece of wreckage was ever found. When powerful, nationally known figures vanish so cleanly, questions about who or what is responsible become less speculative and instantly more urgent. The relentless disappearances are not confined to small civilian aircraft. The U.S. military has also paid a terrible price within the Triangle's boundaries. On January 26, 1950, a U.S. Air Force Douglas C-54 Skymaster, carrying 44 souls, vanished while en route from Alaska to Montana. It remains the largest military air disappearance of its time, carrying not just personnel, but highly sensitive cargo, rumored to be classified technology or nuclear components. Despite an exhaustive search involving over 80 aircraft and ships, the plane was never located. It simply vanished mid-flight, giving no warning, as if it had flown into a momentary hole in the sky. This inexplicable vanishing leads us directly to the classic high-strangeness signature of the Triangle: undeniable UFO interaction in the immediate airspace. In 1986, the pilot of a Japanese Airlines cargo flight over Alaska reported encountering three massive unidentified flying objects. The lead craft, according to Captain Tarachi, was absolutely colossal. He estimated it was twice the size of an aircraft carrier. These colossal objects followed his jet for hundreds of miles. Crucially, the pilot's sightings were later corroborated by simultaneous FAA radar confirmation. This was not a visual hallucination. This was a verifiable event of three massive unidentified objects in the airspace. The question then becomes, what are these immense craft doing in this remote Alaskan airspace? And why do they seem to coincide precisely with zones where planes and people consistently disappear without a trace? Here at Unsolved Void, we submit that these military and civilian disappearances are not isolated events. The extraterrestrial craft may not be causing the vanishings, but rather monitoring a natural dimensional instability in the grid. This phenomenon could be the true power source that causes compasses to fail, radar to glitch, and sometimes opens a localized time portal or dimensional rift, allowing objects and people to be instantaneously removed from the physical timeline. Now we turn to the most incredible yet heavily suppressed claim, the alleged nexus point of the entire Alaska Triangle, a massive hidden structure. This terrifying story originates in 1992, when three scientists, speaking on an Anchorage television channel, reportedly announced they had accidentally located a gigantic, metallic structure beneath the ground using specialized seismic recording equipment. The structure was allegedly a black pyramid, estimated to be twice the size of the Great Pyramid of Giza, buried somewhere beneath the mountain range near Denali. Immediately after the announcement, the story was pulled from the air and allegedly buried by every news media outlet in the state. This action itself suggests a concerted effort to suppress information about something truly world-altering. The story gained international traction thanks to retired U.S. Army counterintelligence warrant officer Douglas A. Muchler. Muchler claimed he was directly informed of the structure during his service and was convinced the government was actively suppressing this critical information. In a chilling letter to investigator Linda Moulton Howe, he asserted that he was telling you the truth about this, and I think this is being kept quiet by our government. The Muchler account, which gained notoriety on Coast to Coast AM, claims the Black Pyramid is not a natural formation but an ancient architectural construction. Its power capacity is unimaginable, allegedly capable of generating enough electricity to supply all of Alaska and much of Canada. The unsolved void hypothesis for Alaska must incorporate this monolithic structure. We believe the pyramid is an ancient, perhaps extraterrestrial power conduit or anchor point for the Earth energy grid. Its operation creates those massive localized electromagnetic disturbances that scramble modern technology and, occasionally, rips holes in our reality, leading to the clean disappearance of aircraft and people. The overwhelming number of vanishings prompted a local panic in Nome, Alaska. Fueled by the staggering statistics, rumors of a serial killer preying on the community ran rampant. The FBI was eventually called in to investigate these terrifying claims, eager to find a human culprit. But after intense analysis and investigation, the official conclusion was simple, cold, and profoundly sad. No serial killer. The disappearances were attributed to the harsh synergy of two factors. First, Nome is an infamous party town, attracting tourists who often consume high volumes of alcohol. Second, the brutal wilderness surrounding Nome, bears, freezing temperatures, and unforgiving terrain, is the true, non-human predator. The terrifying serial killer was an illusion, a necessary myth designed by the human mind to rationalize and explain away an unnatural volume of death that had no human motive. But even this official account leaves room for the cryptid. We must turn our attention to the ancient local folklore of the Kushtaka, the Tlingit shape-shifting demon. The Kushtaka is said to lure people, particularly those who are already drunk or lost, into the treacherous woods or icy water. It achieves this by mimicking the cries of a lost child or the voice of a beloved family member. Is the Kushtaka a simple folktale, or is it a localized, predatory manifestation of the grid's energy, leveraging human vulnerability just as we hypothesized happens in the California corridor? It's a chilling thought. A predator that is both myth and flesh, feeding on the compromised. Thousands of miles south of the Arctic Circle, we find Mount Shasta, a 14,162-foot, semi-dormant volcano that serves as the undisputed spiritual nexus of the Western esoteric world. If Alaska houses the Black Pyramid, the physical power source, then Shasta houses the White Brotherhood, the concentrated consciousness. The foundational legend begins with the sunken continent of Lemuria. Occultists believe this advanced, giant, psychic civilization survived the sinking by retreating inside Mount Shasta, establishing the magnificent hidden city of Telos. This incredible concept was popularized by occult writers like Frederick Spencer Oliver in the 1880s, who claimed a city glittering with jewels was inside the mountain. The survivors of Lemuria, according to the deep lore, now live there, often governed by the ascended master High Priest Adama. This directly links Shasta to the Earth energy grid nexus. Telos is said to be the repository of advanced ancient knowledge, utilizing the mountain's natural energy field as its primary power source. Mount Shasta acts as the ultimate spiritual magnet, constantly attracting new agers, Buddhists, and spiritual seekers hoping to bask in its potent, unusual vibe. The most famous, life-altering encounter involves Guy W. Ballard in 1930, a moment that fundamentally changed the landscape of American spirituality. While hiking alone, Ballard claimed he was approached by a strange young man who soon introduced himself as the ascended Master St. Germain. In a classic high-strangeness ritual, St. Germain allegedly fed Ballard a creamy, milky liquid and 4 brownish cakes, which Ballard reported had an immediate electric and clarifying effect on his mind. This profound initiation unlocked Ballard's alleged ability to immediately channel the master's wisdom. Ballard then returned to Chicago and founded the massive I Am religious sect, teaching of the forthcoming 7th Golden Age. This suggests that the grid energy on Shasta is not merely electromagnetic. It's powerfully psychoactive, capable of rapidly and permanently altering the human mind, leading to extreme spiritual or psychological outcomes. Shasta's high-strangeness phenomena are also relentlessly physical. First, the ubiquitous mystery lights. Indigenous tribes identified them as ghosts. New Agers label them Lemurian ceremonies. UFO researchers call them spaceships. These glowing orbs of light are reported frequently, particularly around dusk and midnight. Unsolved Void believes these are localized plasma discharges, a highly visible indicator of the intense grid energy fluctuating near the mountain's surface. These discharges, in turn, attract or perhaps even create the UFOs that are so frequently reported to hover near and sometimes disappear directly into the peak. The mountain is also riddled with physical portals. Spiritualist Irene Cheney claimed she was escorted into a secret place known as the Cave of the Mystic Circle and given an initiation into the inner Great Temple. But the mountain holds darker, more accessible rifts. Pluto Cave, a massive lava tube, is chillingly named after the Roman god of the underworld. Explorers have reported finding irrefutable evidence of sacrificial fires and objects from rituals left behind. Legends abound of people going insane after spending the night in the cave, claiming to be confronted by unspeakable horrors that haunt the depths. Pluto Cave may be a naturally occurring dimensional rift, a definitive weak point in the Earth's crust where the grid energy is so concentrated it allows entities from other dimensions to briefly cross over. It is a terrifying thought. The very ground beneath the spiritual epicenter is actively guarded by dimensional predators. Finally, we must acknowledge the persistent presence of the minor cryptids, the Fey folk and the Little People. At places like Burney Falls and McLeod Falls, persistent stories of fairies or little people appear, often only visible at the edge of the vision of those seeking them in the mist. The indigenous Shasta peoples had their own, darker name for these entities, Axki. They were capable of taking the form of tiny people and animals, and were believed to be the cause of all illness, bad luck, and death. This mirrors the Kushtaka in Alaska. The nexus does not just attract the grand and mysterious. It generates localized, minor predatory entities designed to lure the emotionally vulnerable out of the safety of the main trail. The question of why people vanish from Shasta, some simply turning a corner and leaving no trace, is answered by the totality of this extreme environment. The vanishing acts are the result of the psychoactive energy of the grid, the simultaneous presence of physical portals in the lava tubes, and the subtle, luring presence of the axe key. This is a perfect, inescapable system of entrapment. We have traversed thousands of miles, from the endless Arctic cold and the site of the Black Pyramid, to the volcanic peaks of Northern California and the purported home of the Ascended Masters. In Alaska, we found a history of clean, untraceable disappearances of planes and people, explained away by weather, but haunted by military suppression and the legendary power conduit. In Shasta, we found the philosophical and spiritual center, the hidden city of Telos and the mind-altering encounters with ascended masters, the hypothesized consciousness anchor. The unsolved void Earth energy grid nexus hypothesis is the only comprehensive explanation that connects these disparate, yet similarly powerful locations. The grid is not merely a conspiracy. It is a fundamental, powerful property of the Earth, a natural energy system exploited by ancient and perhaps extraterrestrial intelligence. In Alaska, the grid creates massive electromagnetic anomalies and temporal disturbances, literally causing planes and people to disappear cleanly from the physical dimension. In Shasta, the grid is primarily psychoactive. It manipulates the human consciousness, drawing seekers in, amplifying their vulnerabilities, and providing the spiritual fuel for cults, while simultaneously creating accessible dimensional weaknesses through its lava tubes. The ultimate commonality between the 16,000 vanished in Alaska and the countless mysteries of Shasta is the nature of the vanishing itself. Instantaneous, total, and without logical trace. Whether guided by the spectral lure of the Kushtaka or compelled by the electric clarity of Saint Germain, the destination is the same: the void. We want to know what you think. Is the high concentration of UFO activity, ancient pyramids, and spiritual encounters in these two isolated locations just a coincidence? Or are they proof that powerful ancient technology is still active on the planet, creating our modern myths and claiming its thousands of victims? Let us know in the comments below. Like and subscribe to Unsolved Void. Until next time, stay safe and remember that sometimes the true predator is the planet itself.